Yeah, a bunch of the marigolds have already sprouted.
Here's the exact setup I used to make it happen. Springtime in the Rockies. This is the time when I like to get my tomatoes and my peppers started out in the hothouse. I typically do that anywhere from the last week in February, anywhere to the second or third week in March. This year I'm running a little bit late, so we're already looking at March 23rd, but we're gonna get those started. Typically, when I do the tomatoes and peppers, I use solo cups. Put a cover or a dome cover over them and let them germinate and then start growing. After a certain amount of time, once the plants get a certain height and the roots have developed, I'll take those out of the solo cups and repot them into larger nursery pots. Now for the flowers I'm doing this year, rather than buying from Home Depot and Lowe's, also doing basil, I bought these seed trays from Amazon. As you can see, they're about 4 inches deep. There's plenty of room. And these things for single seedlings for flowers. There's 50 cells in one of these trays that I can use to plant those flowers in. One of the differences for me, at least, when I'm planting the vegetables versus the flowers is when I'm doing flowers, I'll use a potting mix versus garden soil. And one of the challenges with potting mixes is some of the contents, which are peat moss and coconut coir, or Coir, or Coir, however you want to pronounce it. According to Google, it's Coir. One of the problems with those materials in potting mix is they tend to be water resistant when they're dry. So when you water the top of your solo cup or your seed trays, that water will tend to pool up on top and doesn't sink in. And it's just kind of a pain to work with. So ideally, you'd want to take your container of potting mix and pre-moisten it by pouring water into it and mixing it up so it's got the consistency of maybe a sponge, where you can actually squeeze it and see the water drip out. However, using these seed trays with all these small cells, once you get that consistency with that potting mix, it's darn near impossible to get it filled in an effective way through all the trays. It's just kind of a mess. So an alternate method is using these trays. I also have bottoms for the trays, which I can fill with water and then put the tray inside of it once it's filled with the potting mix, of course. You can see it has holes in it, so it'll actually water that mix from the bottom up. And in addition, what I like to do is spray the tops of it with a mist to really pre-moisten and water the tops of those without putting a strong stream of water in it so it splatters the stuff everywhere. So that's how I get the marigolds and the basil started this year. Let's take a look at what I've got. I've got a bunch to plant, so let's get after it. So for the first tray, we're going to do 50 nasturtiums and then we'll fill out the other 50 cells with marigolds. Then I'll do 2 more complete trays of marigolds, which will then leave me another tray for petunias. So now that all those seeds are actually in the tray, what we'll do is come in here and we don't want to push them down too far. So we'll just take some more of this potting mix and kind of cover them, not too deep. Cover them with some soil. Get them misted, get the tops on them, and put them in the hothouse. Cool. So once we get the rest of them all planted, the next step is to bring all these back out here, fill up the tub with water, then mist the top of them really good. Again, just misting it, because if you put water on them at a high rate like this, you'll wash the seeds out, because there's just a very, very thin layer of soil over the top of that stuff. So this water in the bottom of the tray here will continuously soak the soil from the bottom up. We'll have to check it to make sure that it's not waterlogging the roots, but I think for the first few days it'll be all right. So now we'll mist it. Real nice and wet. All right, that's the first one. We'll get the rest of them done and then continue on to the last step. All right, almost done. All we need to do now is get all these trays with all the seedlings, and not seedlings yet, the seeds. It's been all watered. We need to put these little humidity domes over them. These domes are great for maintaining not only the humidity, but the actual temperature within the little ecosystem we've created here. So these come with little vents on the top, so you can kind of how much of the water you let pop out. So all we need to do is set the other ones up, put them in the hothouse, and we're ready to go. All right, we're just about done. Got them all planted, watered, all ready to go. Got the domes on. The only thing I need to go in and do is make sure my light schedule is on, and I've got the heater turned up and on schedule for this to keep the temperature up in the 70s and 80s, and we should be good to go. I'll mist these every couple of days to make sure they're still nice and moist, at least up on top. Got the water in the trays, so the cells shouldn't dry out. I'll continue to check those, and really a lot of the stuff should be coming up in the next 10 to 14 days, so keep my eye on it, and we'll see where it goes from there. Just a real quick update before I finish this video. I was out here watering my marigolds and nasturtiums and basil. I just planted tomatoes yesterday, got the peppers done today. I opened up the domes to mist all the flowers I planted. A little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, a bunch of the marigolds have already sprouted. I was in shock. But yeah, we have some marigolds coming up.
So that was the quick update before I let you go and let this video end. Surprise, surprise. Thanks.